I think what we know at this point is that as they go into the talks, they're not ready to really make any type of formal concessions or demands or anything like that. They're sort of, trying to sort of see where the talks will begin, feel things out. I mean, it's a little bit of an odd situation, contrary to how you normally go into these talks where there's lots of groundwork that's already been laid. So, I mean, we're not exactly sure what to expect out of this, to be perfectly frank, although, we do kind of have a range here, right? We have Trump talking about 80%. We have the Chinese looking for 60% tariffs. And we have some reporting that shows that Secretary Bessent may be talking, maybe thinking more along the lines of the 60%, although he doesn't want to get crosswise with the president, obviously. So what's clear is there is going to be, or there is expected to be, some type of de-escalation. I think both parties are looking for that. So if we don't hear that coming out of these meetings, that would be potentially a shock to the market. I think as far as the floor goes or what the actual level will be, that kind of remains to be seen. And I think it depends on what China is going to offer on fentanyl. It depends on how the talks will actually go. I mean, there is still a chance, although somewhat, remote, that these talks could go nowhere. So I think that the pressure is on Scott B, as President Trump referred to him in a Truth Social post this morning, to deliver something here. And so I think that there's a lot of nervousness and sort of tension going into this weekend for sure.
I mean, we're talking about two major large economies here, trade partners. Of course, everyone has their own stake in the game. Are we really expecting anyone to budge here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. I think both sides have an incentive to move. The question is this the time when it's going to happen, or is this just going to be the first of many conversations? I mean, if you listen to what Bessent has said this week in his congressional testimony, he sort of set the expectations very low. He said, we're going to talk on Saturday. We may, talks may go into Sunday if we find that we have some issues that we want to sort out. But this is really the beginning. This is not any kind of formal trade negotiation or anything like that. But he has said, and this has been a consistent theme from him going back 2 or 3 weeks now, that there needs to be some type of de-escalation. Now, maybe that's wishful thinking on the part of the U.S. to sort of will the Chinese into that position. Maybe China, the folks representing China in these talks are not necessarily feeling that pressure, but we do get some sense from looking at the Chinese economy that they have some incentive here too to de-escalate things. So both parties are going in wanting some type of de-escalation. I think the question is, how far do they really want to go in this first meeting after all of these tensions have been ramping up over the last several weeks?
Who has the leverage here, Dan? Who's holding the cards, as President Trump would say? Because it seems as if we came out with a big stick and then, expected the Chinese to, bow down, but they have not. President Xi Jinping has not called President Trump, even though for a while he seemed to be pleading for Xi to call him every day. So who's got more leverage?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that long-term, the U.S. probably has more leverage just given the size of our economy and the balance of trade that we have with China and the state of China's economy.
Long-term, does that go till the next elections? Because this Republican Party could really lose a lot if it goes on that long.
Yeah, no, and it's a great point. What I was going to mention is that short term, I think China has the advantage because they can really throw a lot of problems into the supply chain to make it hurt on the U.S. economy that, as you mentioned, heading into the midterm elections next year, that could complicate things for the Republicans. So I think, again, both sides want to kind of come out of this with a win. The question is there a win to be had? And we just don't know yet. So it's a very fluid situation.
So, I mean, there was news that came out saying that the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned an oil refinery in China. It's accusing of facilitating the Iranian crude trade. It says that it funds Tehran's military and violates existing U.S. sanctions. What's been the major reaction there?
Yeah, I mean, this is such an interesting development that's happened over the last several months in the background. These small refineries, these so-called teapot refineries that are in China that are accused of processing Iranian oil. This is a big deal for the oil markets, for the sanctions world, for what's going on with talks with Iran, and what's going on with talks with China. So I think the reaction has been, obviously, this is complicating this trading relationship. This is complicating getting a deal here. But at the same time, you do have a lot of folks in the administration still who are hardcore China hawks that want to see us going after China on a number of fronts, and also are hawks on Iran and want to see us cracking down on that. So there's a nexus there of things that does not necessarily help us get to a trade deal with China, but certainly is in the long-term security interests of the United States in the view of some in the administration.
Can you look at the U.S.-UK deal and take anything from that to try and forecast what we'll do with China, or is it just such a completely different situation that the two aren't comparable?
I think it's a different situation in a couple of ways, but I do think that there are some things that you could take away from the negotiations with Great Britain. One thing is that the 10% across-the-board tariff. So Peter Navarro was on Bloomberg TV this morning. He was asked about this. He talked a little bit about this, and he's really pointing to that 10% across-the-board tariff as something that's targeted not just at tariff barriers, but non-tariff barriers as well. So that is something that is likely to remain in place no matter what happens in any of these negotiations, and we saw that with the UK announcement yesterday. We saw also this idea that the U.S. is going to start to do deals with allies and partners in advance of any more substantive talks with China. So what they're trying to do, and this is something that Bessent has talked about as well, is kind of get everybody on side, get everybody on the U.S.'s side, and then negotiate some sort of bigger deal with China. And the UK, obviously, a long-time historic partnership with the U.S. Over the years since World War II, which was referenced in the discussion yesterday. And that is going to be something that I think the Trump folks are going to lean on to say, look, we're getting these deals done, even though some of the details, as we found out, still need to be sorted out. We're getting these deals done, and so this puts the onus on you, China, to kind of come to the table and work with us before we get too many people like on our side. So we'll see how that all plays out.